My name is Sarah, and I go to a big college with a huge library. I love books, and I like studying alone when it's quiet. But after what happened one night, I never stayed there late again. It all started on a cold Friday night. My friends were going to a party, but I had a big test on Monday. I decided to stay in the library and study. The library was open 24 hours, but most students left after 10 p.m. By midnight, I was the only one there. The library had 3 floors. The main floor was bright and had lots of computers. The second floor was quiet, with small study rooms. But the basement was different. It was dark, old, and smelled like dusty books. Hardly anyone went there because the books were really old and the lights flickered sometimes. I had never been to the basement before, but I needed a special book for my history paper. When I asked the librarian, she looked at me strangely. "Are you sure you want to go down there this late?" she asked. I laughed. "Yeah, I just need a book. I'll be quick." She nodded but didn't say anything else. I took the stairs down. The basement was colder than I expected. The walls were lined with tall bookshelves, and the only light came from a few small lamps. It was so quiet that I could hear my own breathing. I found the book I needed on the last shelf. It was covered in dust, and when I pulled it out, a small gust of air blew past me. I shivered. Maybe the AC turned on. Then I heard it. A soft sound like footsteps. I turned around quickly. "Hello?" I called. No answer. I laughed at myself. "It's just my imagination," I whispered. But as I started walking back to the stairs, I heard the footsteps again. This time they were closer. I stopped. My heart was pounding. I turned my phone flashlight on and shined it down the aisle. Nothing was there. Then, a book fell off the shelf by itself. I gasped. "Okay, nope. I'm out of here," I said out loud. I started walking faster, but then I noticed something weird. The aisle I had walked down earlier didn't look the same. The bookshelves seemed taller. The exit sign I had seen before was gone. It felt like the library had changed. I turned in a circle, trying to find my way back. Then I saw something that made my stomach drop. There was a shadow at the end of the aisle, a tall, thin shadow. It didn't move. I held my breath. My legs felt frozen. Then the shadow twitched. It started moving toward me. I ran. I didn't care where I was going, I just ran. My feet pounded on the floor, and my breath came in short gasps. I turned a corner and slammed into a bookshelf. Books rained down around me. Then I heard whispering. Soft, raspy whispers, like someone was speaking right behind me. I turned, but no one was there. My phone buzzed in my hand. My stomach flipped when I saw the screen. A message from an unknown number. "You're not supposed to be here." I ran faster. My eyes searched for the stairs. Then finally I saw them. I bolted up the steps 2 at a time. The second I reached the main floor, everything went silent. The air felt normal again. The warm lights of the library made me feel safe. I turned back to look at the basement door. It was closed. The librarian was gone. I grabbed my stuff and left as fast as I could. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying what happened. The footsteps, the shadow, the whispering, and the message on my phone. The next morning I went back to the library. I wanted to tell someone what happened, but when I asked a different librarian about the basement, she frowned. "What basement?" she asked. I stared at her. "The basement downstairs, with all the old books." She shook her head. "This library doesn't have a basement." I felt cold all over. "But I was just there last night." She gave me a strange look. "Are you feeling okay?" I didn't know what to say. When I checked my phone later, the message was gone. But I know what I saw. I know what I heard. And I know one thing for sure. I will never go to that library alone at night again. My name is Mark, and I used to live in a college dorm that had a weird story. People said there was a secret room at the end of the hall, a room 213, but no one talked about it. Some students said a boy went missing inside a long time ago, and the school just sealed the door shut. I never believed those stories, until the night I saw the door myself. It was a Friday, and my roommate went home for the weekend. I had the whole dorm room to myself. I stayed up late playing video games, but around midnight I got hungry. The vending machines were down the hall, so I grabbed my keys and headed out. The hallway was quiet. The dorm always felt different at night, darker even with the lights on. As I walked past the end of the hall, I noticed something that shouldn't be there. A door. It was old and scratched up, and there was no number on it. My stomach tightened. This door wasn't here before. I walked down this hallway every day. I would have noticed it. I took a step closer. The doorknob was rusty. My hand shook as I reached out, and before I could touch it, the door creaked open by itself. I froze. The room inside was dark, except for the glow of a single lamp. Dust floated in the air. The walls were cracked, and old papers were scattered on the floor. It looked like no one had been in there for years. Then I saw the desk, and under it, something moved. At first, I thought it was a shadow, but then I saw fingers. Long, pale fingers gripping the wood. Something was crawling out. It was a boy, but not normal. His arms and legs were too thin. His skin was gray. His mouth stretched too wide, like he was grinning at me. His eyes were dark holes. I couldn't move. Then he whispered, "I've been waiting for you." I ran. I didn't even look back. My feet pounded the floor as I sprinted down the hallway. I reached my room, slammed the door shut, and locked it. My heart was beating so fast I thought it would explode. I grabbed my phone, my hands shaking. I wanted to call someone, anyone. But before I could, my screen lit up with a message. It was from an unknown number. "You saw me."
If you're enjoying this chilling tale so far, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps more people discover these terrifying stories. And if you're into real-life horror and the unexplained, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a new nightmare. Got a friend who loves creepy stories? Share this video with them, if you dare.
I dropped my phone. My breath came in sharp gasps. I didn't sleep that night. I kept staring at my door, waiting to hear footsteps, waiting for a knock. But nothing happened. The next morning, I packed a bag and left to stay with a friend. When I walked past the hallway, the door was gone. Just a blank wall. I asked my RA about it later. "Room 213, he said, frowning. "That room was sealed off years ago. No one lives there." I didn't tell him what I saw. I never stayed alone in that dorm again. And I never walked past the end of that hallway at night. My name is Melissa, and I love playing the violin. Music has always been my favorite thing in the world. That's why I was so excited to go to college and study music. Our school had an old music building with lots of practice rooms. I liked to practice at night when it was quiet. But after one terrifying night, I never played alone again. It was a cold October evening. My music professor had given us a really hard piece to practice, and I needed extra time to get it right. My friends were going out for pizza, but I told them I would stay and practice. "Don't stay too late," my friend Emma said. "That building is creepy at night." I laughed. "It's just an old building. I'll be fine." The music building was mostly empty when I got there. The practice rooms were small, each with a piano and a chair. The walls were thick so no one could hear outside noises. It was always so quiet in there. I went into my usual room, room 6. I set up my violin, tuned the strings, and started playing. The sound filled the tiny space, and I got lost in the music. After about an hour, I stopped to take a break. That's when I heard something strange, a single piano note. It came from the hallway. I froze. No one else was supposed to be here. The front doors were locked at night, and I hadn't seen anyone else come in. I shook my head. Maybe it was my imagination, I whispered. I picked up my violin and started playing again. But a few minutes later, another piano note. This time lower, longer. I put my violin down. My heart started to beat faster. I stepped into the hallway and looked around. The hallway was empty. The only piano big enough to make that sound was in the main room at the end of the hall. The door to that room was slightly open. I swallowed hard. "Hello," I called. No answer. I knew I should just leave. But my feet started moving toward the main room. The air got colder with every step I took. My fingers felt numb as I reached for the door and pushed it open. The grand piano sat in the middle of the room, shining under the dim lights. The lid was open, but no one was there. Then, the keys moved, right in front of me. I gasped. The piano played a slow, eerie melody. The notes were soft, almost like a whisper. I took a shaky step back. "Who's there?" The piano stopped. Then I heard breathing, right behind me. A shiver ran down my spine. I turned around slowly. There was no one there. I grabbed my violin and ran. My footsteps echoed as I raced down the hallway. As I reached the door, I heard a whisper behind me. "Stay." The door slammed shut on its own just as I made it outside. I didn't stop running until I reached my dorm. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the piano, the whisper, the cold air. The next day, I told my professor about what happened. He went quiet for a long time before finally speaking. "A long time ago, a girl used to practice late at night, just like you," he said. "She played the violin too, but one night she was found in the music room, dead. No one knows what happened to her." I felt my heart drop. "What was her name?" He looked at me, his face pale. "Melissa." I couldn't breathe. That was my name. I never practiced alone at night again. But sometimes, when I walk past the music building, I hear the piano playing, and I wonder if she's still there, waiting for someone to play with her.
If that story gave you chills, imagine what's coming next. Tap the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're the first to hear the next true horror. Smash the like button if you survived till the end and share this with someone brave enough to handle it. Until next time, stay safe if you can.